US President Donald Trump said that he would decide on attacking Iran in 2 weeks. But after 2 days of his announcement, US struck Iran's 3 nuclear facilities. Looks like Trump did not chicken out this time. This time he struck Iran, and he calls it successful and very precise action against Iran's nuclear program.
Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Iran has vowed retaliation. It says that it is going to leave it to its military to decide how the attacks will be, the impact and more. But did the US strikes really destroy the nuclear program? How Iran could respond to this and what it means to the world? Let's understand. First, the war itself, it was between Israel and Iran when Israel struck Iran's nuclear facility on June 13. It went on for 8 days and then US joined too on the 9th day. Why did US help though? Because the goal is same: stop Iran's nuclear program. A detailed video on the nuclear program is in the description, but for now, it basically wanted to stop Iran from making a nuclear bomb. Hence, 3 nuclear sites in Iran, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan were hit. The US used warplanes, submarines, and cruise missiles, including bombs that weigh 30,000 pounds. B-2 bombers were reportedly used to drop 12 bunker buster bombs on Fordo, and submarines and cruise missiles were hit at Natanz and Isfahan, and B-2 bombers also dropped 2 bunker busters on Natanz too, as per some reports. Now, while the US president says that the 3 plants have been destroyed completely, some experts are warning that the strikes did not seem to have touched Iran's stocks of highly enriched uranium. Now, Iran has said that there were no signs of contamination after US strikes and that the civilians are safe. Now, coming to all this attack, why did this happen? Now, all of this was because US and Israel thought that Iran is at the verge of making a nuclear weapon. Last week, UN's nuclear watchdog censored Iran for the first time in 20 years for not working with its inspectors. Iran and US were in talks for a nuclear deal, which, by the way, in 2018 was suspended by Trump, and that time he imposed sanctions on Iran. Now the US says that it is open to a regime change. Basically, they want Khamenei down. Trump says that Iran should have signed the deal, and after attacking its nuclear facilities, he now says that it is time for peace. But looks like peace is far from the sight right now, because Iran says that the strikes were a grave violation of international law. It has warned of everlasting consequences of the quote-unquote outrageous events.
It is an outrageous, grave, and unprecedented violation of the fundamental principles of the Charter of the United Nations and international law.
Iran's parliament has voted in favor of blocking the Strait of Hormuz, and it says that its military will now decide the impact of these strikes, how bad it would be, and what will the scale of impact be. Speculations are that Iran may attack US military bases in the Middle East, like in Iraq, Saudi, and more, and the US Navy too. Iran's proxy organizations, Hamas, Houthis, and Hezbollah have also vowed retaliation. Houthis want to resume strikes in Red Sea if US joins the war. Now, coming to the impact of this retaliation. Iran is signaling ways that it could retaliate to these strikes. First, the military response. Iran has declared that all US military bases are within its reach. Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq, it was once targeted by Iran in 2022, and Erbil Air Base in northern Iraq too is on the radar. In Syria, the US operates alternative garrison, and Tower 22 in Jordan too could be a target. In UAE, it has the Al Dhafra Air Base and Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. Now coming to the economic impact, the 5 major impact of the possible retaliation from Iran and escalation of this conflict. First one is oil prices. After US strikes on June 23rd, oil prices went up by 2%, hitting 5-month high. This is because tensions are in the Middle East, where most of the oil exporting countries are situated. Also, US has now joined the war officially, which makes the situation even worse. Reports also suggest that Iran's oil facilities have been hit, while the decision of blocking Strait of Hormuz has not yet been taken, but most likely there could be a decision on this and they could block the Strait of Hormuz. It is a vital shipping passage and about a fifth of world's oil consumption passes through this strait. Around 21% of global petroleum liquids consumption passes through the Strait of Hormuz, and 60% of natural gas imports also pass through this passage. It is located very strategically, which will block oil shipping from Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi and UAE too. Goldman Sachs predicts blockades in Strait of Hormuz to push oil prices above $100 per barrel. As per IMF, inflation in advanced economies rises by about 0.4 percentage points for every 10% rise in oil prices because it increases transportation costs too. Now the US has turned to China for help in stopping the blockade of the passage because it is a crucial passage for oil shipping for China too. Second is the impact on trade. If Strait of Hormuz is blocked, then trade of crude will be affected. But the Houthis also have want to hit the Red Sea again. So a Red Sea crisis 2.0 is also on the plate. It is a crucial shipping lane facilitating approximately 12 to 15% of the global trade, and Red Sea Strait is vital for 30% of global container traffic. Now the shipments just started to move through Red Sea and cargo ships saved 15 to 20 days in time while moving to the US and Europe from India and other parts of Asia, and it can again get affected as per exporters. They also say that the cost of transportation and insurance costs will also rise for these shipping companies. Third impact is gold and rupee. With surge in geopolitical tensions and US now involved in it, gold prices are spiking as investors are turning to the safe haven. On day one of the war, gold prices had surged to cross 1 lakh rupee mark in India once again. However, after the US strikes, it did not surge that much because this was already factored into a large extent as per some experts. Now coming to Goldman Sachs, which has predicted international gold prices to peak at $3,700 per ounce by the end of the year if geopolitical concerns remain. Rupee has also started to come under pressure though, despite the dollar index remaining below the 99 levels and close to 52-week mark. Now coming to the fourth impact, this is on stock market and bond market. The war will bring volatility in the stock markets definitely. US stock futures have slid and Asian markets are also witnessing a drop. Experts say that when there is a war, there is an overreaction and that might last for 2 to 3 weeks or more. The dollar has strengthened too. Indian stock markets too witnessed a fall on June 23rd. This is right after the US strikes. Both benchmark indices were in red on open. Hardest hit were the IT stocks in India. Experts say that while the escalation is serious, markets are still not in a full-blown panic mode. The negative impact might be on oil marketing companies for sure, while positive could be on defense sector. Now coming to the fifth impact, this is on airlines, airline disruption. Look at this picture. how flights are avoiding conflicted regions across the world. But that's not just a small problem of increased travel time and a diversion. This leads to massive diversions and avoidance of Iranian airspace too, which means longer flights, potential delays, and increased fuel costs for the aviation industries and carriers operating in and out of West Asia. Now, experts are saying that a wider conflict, that is a conflict between the allies too, is not expected in the near term as of now. Russia is busy with Ukraine, and China, along with other allies of Iran, are mostly requesting a de-escalation. So Iran could either respond with strikes or resume nuclear talks with the US, depending on its capacity to fight, because reports also say that both Israel and Iran are short of military supplies. For more such news and views, keep watching ET Now.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.